As the agency within the United Nations system that is expressly mandated to advance the development interests of women, UNIFEM faces a considerable challenge. Fortunately, we have partners. Partners like the Baha'i international community who share our vision and who are prepared to work with us to achieve our goals. The three-year collaborative effort between the Baha'i international community and UNIFEM, which used traditional media as an agent of change, represents, in my view, an excellent example of the type of strategic partnerships we in the international community must pursue if our common development agenda is to be managed in an effective and efficient manner. By joining hands with the Baha'i, UNIFEM was able to draw on the commitment and the expertise of an international organization with strong links to the grassroots. An organization, moreover, which has a history of working with the least advantaged members of a society, and an organization which shares with UNIFEM the view that men must share responsibility with women for transforming the social relations of gender.
This video describes the steps in a project intended to raise the status of women in 5 countries. A grant from the United Nations Development Fund for Women, UNIFEM, was given to the Baha'i international community based in New York to implement the project. Following the participatory nature of the entire project, the scenes you are about to see were shot by participants in the field, both men and women, often illiterate indigenous villagers. The 2-year project, 1991 to 1993, was unusual in that it had no tangible product, but concentrated on behavior and attitude change as its sole objective. Its philosophy, stemming from the fundamental Baha'i principle of the equality of men and women, is that people will change their behaviors when they themselves see the need for change and the resulting benefits. Even then, they will change in conformity to their own internal visions, not to the plan of an external development agency. Except for the senior technical advisor, none of the participants were development professionals. They came from all walks of life: housewives, farmers, teachers, civil servants, men, women, youth, and children. When possible, the entire community in each project locality was mobilized to achieve critical mass. This meant that the BIC needed to plan a sequence of events for the participating communities to explore and experience the problems and issues linked to the status of women, to analyze the benefits to be gained from changing their traditional behavior, and to examine the kinds of actions they wished to take to improve the situation, not only for the benefit of women, but of the entire community. The three countries where the UNIFEM project took place were Bolivia, Malaysia, and Cameroon. Each project was implemented by a local, non-governmental organization, the Baha'i National Spiritual Assembly of each country. Local programs were managed and implemented by the local Baha'i Assembly. Participants, however, came from all religious backgrounds. Additional sites in Brazil and Nigeria were funded directly by the BIC. Traditional media was chosen as the means by which traditional values were explored, and messages containing new values and concepts were presented for consultation to the local community. A medium that reflected their own cultures, and the use of drama or song diffused potential conflicts between men and women. At each project site, activities started with a training of trainers workshop, with expert international technical assistance supplied by the BIC and assisted by local experts. These training workshops were highly participatory in nature and in each country adapted to specific site realities and needs.
We are presenting for you some issues and some problems, but no solutions. When it's all over, you are going to come to the actors and give them some solutions. To the extent possible that we have time, they will try and redo the play with your solutions in it and see if they work.
But you are supposed to be doing your homework.
Well, I give up, Papa. Please, can you spare some?
You go and do your work. Mother will come and have you.
Mother! Papa, I'm hungry.
Mother, could you see to her, please?
You know, I've been having a headache the whole day. It's your
Besides an exploration of traditional values, core development skills were taught. Communities learned how to do qualitative research and analyze the results. They learned how to plan and manage a communication campaign and how to evaluate the results. Basic consultation skills, emphasizing mutual respect for others' opinions, were taught as a prerequisite to decision-making.
There are three things about people doing research: behavior and attitudes, methods, and sharing. And he says the most important is behavior and attitudes. If you don't have the attitude they can do it, it shows in your behavior. And one thing also before we start, I want everybody to know that what they think and what they feel is very important. See what they say about it.
From the first, BIC recognized that if women's status was to change, men would need to be included in all activities. Many of the behavior changes that could improve the lives of women would come from changes in men's behavior. After the national workshops, each country coordinator then facilitated workshops in the local sites. Although men and women participated together in these workshops, special activities were designed that encouraged women to speak publicly, sharing their thoughts and problems, often for the first time. Visual media further aided the learning process, as both men and women struggled to understand each other's perceptions of roles that had never previously been considered. Establishing a common vision between men and women was quite new. In Sarawak, Malaysia, with members of the Iban tribe, amongst the Quechua Indians of Bolivia, and with the Bia peoples of Cameroon, men and women were given Polaroid cameras and asked to photograph images of community events and things they felt were important. The differences in perceptions between men and women were striking and were common across all the diverse cultures. They made maps of their village,
you see, there's a picture of a dog,
looked at labor patterns between men and women, and were surprised at the results.
over here. So all this is the work of the group of them, yeah, women and men. Yeah?
Focus groups were held with men and women, and the results analyzed to determine priority problems. Others concentrated on community activities such as the pervasive problems of illiteracy amongst women, or the problems of assuring a stable and easy water source. Peri-urban communities, such as this one, outside of Kuala Lumpur in Petaling Jaya, explored the problems associated with modernization through a video drama which was presented and later discussed.
Okay, we'll see you again. Okay, bye.
He's in love, don't stand in his way.
Coffee,
Can I change to the other program?
No, can't you see I'm watching?
But the other program is very
No,
nice.
wait, no, this is my favorite program.
No,
You take a seat, you watch it.
Just give me a little one.
No, wait, you shut up.
At each project site, dramatic plays, songs, skits, and puppet shows were created, reflecting the important themes the community wished to emphasize. Some communities concentrated on interfamily relationships, focusing on bringing about changes in labor patterns in the home, allowing women a voice in decision-making, and household money management. The dramas ranged from very polished and rehearsed to simple and direct, but all effectively touched both the participants and their audiences. Communities made their own costumes, even constructed their own buildings to accommodate activities. Following the presentations, there were discussions with community members to determine some of the specific actions that they could take to improve women's status. Finally, an exercise in visioning helped community members to realize that their future could be in their own hands and that alternatives and options were available to them, even with minimal resources. Interestingly, the same 3 priority problems were identified through the qualitative research early in the project in all sites. Cameroon, which began its program earlier than the other countries, demonstrates how a local community can tackle its own problems with minimum outside help or resources. The first problem for each country was the low literacy levels of women. In Cameroon, they resolved to establish literacy classes for women in the villages. Some communities set themselves a goal of sending all eligible girls to school in an effort to totally eradicate illiteracy amongst women in just a few years. Some communities decided to take protective action to ensure that the girls would not be sexually molested.
Our interest is very strongly in attitude formation also, and this is, as I say, a wonderful opportunity to really go to the heart of changing attitudes and values, particularly in relation to women. Because if you may not have noticed, because you're here filming when we have boys, but if you were here when the girls are, you would notice a very sharp reduction in the student body. There are probably 3 or 4 times more boys who register in the school than girls, and that is because whereas education in general is valued, girls are inhibited from attending school for parents who really, especially trust the girls too far from home. Even in a village, they may not be able to study at night. Some parents will even restrict their going out at night to study in a night school in the village, maybe 200, 300, 400 feet from their home.
A second priority problem was mismanagement of household finances by men. A third priority problem was the heavy workload that women had to undertake in their daily lives. On their own initiative, some of the households have broken their traditional labor patterns in other ways.
Come on. Come on. You don't want to. Oh, dear. All right, okay.
The UNIFEM representative in Cameroon visited the project site and recommended that income-generating activities be included so that women could purchase mills to reduce the time they spend grinding corn for meal. Some men now assist their wives in their family farming activities. Women report that since the project began, their husbands have substantially reduced their alcohol consumption. And spouse abuse, formerly quite common, has almost disappeared amongst participating families.
Tikahan Fanny Maldonado. Kani Serafina Mamani.
Ikunata Willarigetes. My wife comes on a job's no Janito Atenito, Laura Ningota, Commoners Ningota Harita. Ubrados de Manflandes in the Tata Navaigun.
The personal transformation of all those involved has been the most important result of this UNIFEM project. Men and women alike speak about their activities and their newfound self-esteem. In Bolivia, a woman from one of the project sites was elected for the first time to the local governmental body, the Syndicat. In other project sites, more and more women are being elected to local administrative bodies, often requiring them to travel out of their communities for the first time in their lives. They have gained more self-confidence in their interactions with other development bodies, in particular the government. They are articulating their own and their community's needs. This small pilot UNIFEM project, conducted on a modest scale by non-professionals in rural and semi-rural sites, has achieved results in changing attitudes, raising awareness, and altering behaviors at the local level. Through total community ownership of the project, a commitment to the principle of the equality of men and women, and a willingness to develop a vision and reach for it, these three communities have demonstrated that men and women can achieve tentative but profound changes in their behavior for the betterment of their families and their community.